This is Adam Gorney, Rivals with the Respect My Decision podcast, here with Donald Driver.
What's going on?
It's a 14-year career, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
it still looks like you can get out there and move around.
No, them days over with, man. I can still move a little bit because I'm always training my son and other NFL players and college athletes, so it kind of keeps me young, I guess you can say.
Let's talk about Driven Elite, what that is, the training part of it, all that kind of stuff, and how important it is and what you see out there.
Yeah, Driven Elite is a company I created about almost 9 years ago. It was just to get people acclimated to the training that we have at the professional level. So many times, people create these fitness centers and sports performance complexes to generate a lot of income. For us, it was never about that, because me having a son and 2 daughters that play at the high level, I wanted to make sure that they would be able to get all the resources they need. Driven Elite, we really focus on for us, it's the most important part is recovery, right? We say 85-15, and people say, well, why do you say that, right? Because if I can keep you healthy, I can keep you playing the sport that you love.
Yeah.
So 85% goes to that, 15% goes to the training aspect of it and the skill level. And if we do that, then we can make sure that you have a long career.
Going through the recruiting process as a father, what's that like? And how much do you want to exert influence and your thoughts and all that stuff, but also kind of let him be a kid a little bit?
Yeah, Christian, I have to say, it was shocking. After his freshman year, he had 27 Division I offers, and who would have ever thought, right? You normally don't get those offers until you're a junior. Like myself, I didn't get any offers until I was a sophomore, junior, and then unfortunately you get the offers like these kids are getting today. It's exciting, but you want them to enjoy it because they're never going to get this opportunity back, right? And so, with that being said, he was able to sit back and at the end of his senior year, this year he had 45 that he could pick from, and he chose the place he wanted to go. I mean, Daddy didn't have to weigh in on any options on that. I said, I want you to go somewhere you're going to be happy and you're going to enjoy it and get a great education, because that's the number one goal for us, is that they can always take that ball from you, as we all know, right? But the one thing they can't take is that piece of paper. And so he's excited that he's going to, for the next 3 to 4 years, he'll be at Penn State.
I went to Penn State.
Yeah,
so, hey,
exactly.
Great choice.
Alums, they work together. It's a lot of fun.
You had a different path, let's say humble beginnings.
Yeah, exactly.
Alcorn State. What is that like? How hungry do you have to be to get to where you got? Because that's a lot of focus and a very thin line to get through there,
I'll say this, is that I was a top-ranked receiver coming out of high school. It was my grandfather that made me the decision to go to Alcorn State. Alcorn State, he wanted me to go to a black college. I grew up in Houston, Texas Southern. Prairie View was right there. They never offered because they knew that was not my plan to go to a black college. But my grandfather wanted me to go there. So I honored him. I always said I wanted to go to Miami, wanted to go to Texas A&M, and then I had those offers. Right after I committed to Alcorn State, Texas A&M, and Miami offered me a full-ride scholarship to go there. But it all worked out, and I think sometimes when you follow someone else's dreams, it allows you to see the future. And for me, that was it. I followed my grandfather's dream to allow that to happen. I'm so glad that I went to HBCU, because it taught me humble beginnings, right? It's where I grew up from, and now you look at what HBCUs are going through now. It's that same lifestyle, but it's all about opportunities, and I think, you think about, and I say this because we've been with Rivals now. Driven Elite's been with Rivals for the last 2 years, and we see so many young men. This is all they want, is an opportunity to grow, right? And so if they get the opportunity, then they have to perform to make sure that they compete at that level. Because every kid out of this group, for the last, I don't know how many years Rivals have been around, but you think about it, if they've been around 10 plus years, just imagine the opportunity for these young men. There's a lot of guys that came out of here that went to Division I college, they got drafted in the first round, and has successful careers. And so Rivals doing a great job, and I'm just glad that we can be a part of it. And when you get the opportunity, you got to make the best of it.
Yeah. That's interesting that you took that path, because the number 1 player in the country last year did that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, and there might have been some criticism, or this is showboating, or this is whatever else, but he felt in his heart it was the right thing to do, play for Dion.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he is going to, there is definitely an argument of he's not going to play for a national championship. He's not going to play on, ESPN every Saturday night in front of 100,000 people. But still, he has a path to the NFL, right?
Correct. That's the problem with people, right? They want to speculate and say you have to go here to make it, and that's not always true.
Right.
This kid is going to have a great career. He has a great Hall of Fame DB that's going to be able to teach him everything he needs to know at the professional level, not the college level, not the high school level.
Right.
And sometimes that's what you need. And I look at my career as that, is right. you take a different path and it all works out. Because I got the opportunity now. I didn't go first round.
Yeah.
I went 7th round. But how many Cinderella people can say, stories that can say, hey, I went 7th round, I'm the all-time Pac-Man League receiver in franchise history, I won a Super Bowl, I won Dance with the Stars, and then I wrote a book that became New York Times bestseller.
Right.
Cinderella story, right?
Right.
And I didn't have to go to Alabama.
Right.
I didn't have to go to Clemson. I didn't have to go to any of these big schools to make that possible. So it's all about opportunity. And when you get it, you got to make the best of it. And I think he's going to make the best of being at Jackson State.
What does it take to play in the NFL for that long? You could kind of feel good about yourself after a year or two. But to maintain that, is it just pure physical skill or not really even all that much?
I don't know. I think it's just you have to have a hunger for it, right?
Yeah.
And then the game changes once you get there. You actually have to get there and work. I mean, it's not going to be one of those things where when you're in high school, they give you everything, right? You're in college, they give you everything. The pros, they don't do that, right? You got to earn everything you do. And that's the thing that I loved about it when I got there to Green Bay, is that there was no guaranteed spots, right? If you did your job, you had the opportunity to make the team. And they was guys that got drafted before me that came to Green Bay.
Yeah.
They were top free agents that was in Green Bay. And I worked them, and I did what I knew that I had to get better at, right? There's a weakness. You have to be willing to admit that you have a weakness. And my weakness was I couldn't read defense, because in the SWAC, we play man-to-man. And so you get up there and they start playing zone coverage and all this. It's like spooked me. It's like, oh, the first time he bagged off me, I was like, okay, what do I do now? And so once I learned that, then it allowed me to stay. But then I made myself indispensable. Yeah. Meaning I didn't stick with one position, because most times you get taught and say, hey, you're going to be the split end or you're going to be the flanker.
Right.
Well, I learned the split end, the flanker, the tight ends position, because I knew at that point I was indispensable.
Right.
Because I can get in and play anywhere on the field.
Right. What's Brett Favre like in the huddle and locker room? What's Aaron Rodgers like in the huddle and locker room?
Two different guys,
yeah,
right? Completely
totally.
two guys. You got the country boy, and then what I tell people, you got the Cali boy, right? And so you get the country style boy that's just laid back, don't really do too much, and then you got the Cali boy that's a little bit more flashy, very conservative but flashy, and I love it because I got to see both sides of him, right? I got to see the gunslinger that did everything, right? And if he trusted you, he was throwing the ball to you. I don't care if he had 3 guys on you. He trusts that his guy can make the play every single time. But then Aaron is a little bit different. Aaron takes what the defense gives him. Brett just plays lights out every single time. And so, people always ask that question, if you had to choose, who would you choose between Brett and Aaron? And I always say I'll take Bart Starr, because Bart Starr was a little different era back then. But for me, I don't know. I think you can't choose one or the other, right? I think if the game is on the line, I'll take any one of them to go battle with me, But, I tell people all the time, my job was just to catch the ball. It doesn't matter who was throwing it to me.
I talked to Drake Kirkpatrick, the Cincinnati Bengals DB, last week, and he said it was easy training in Cincinnati because there's not much to do there.
Correct.
Was Green Bay similar in the sense that, like, this is what is here, this is all I can do, I can't get caught up in the scene and all that kind of stuff? And was it 2 decades there? What's it like?
It is.
There can't be too much there.
It's almost like a college town, right? It's like there's nothing to do. There's no nightlife. There's nothing like that. So I tell people all the time, if you want to raise a family and be this good Christian man and live a good life, then Green Bay is where you want to go, because that's what you're going to end up. You're going to go to work and you're going to come home. There's no nightlife, and so that allowed us to always study. But then for me, it was able to raise a family in a great environment, right? And so I had 3 kids. All 3 kids were born in Wisconsin, so they can't never say they have Texas babies.
Right.
They never say that. They're all Wisconsin. So it's there's a little bit difference, but I think it allows you to grow who you are.
The most important question: Dancing with the Stars. How hard was it? Did you know dancing at all, or was this something?
No.
This is all production, right?
Yeah. It's one of those things, right? I think it's. You learn how to hold your own, right? If I was out having a good time with the family, I can dance, right?
Yeah.
But ballroom dance is completely out of the box, right? I've never done ballroom dance before, and so I had that opportunity to go on a show that I knew I was out of my comfort zone. But what happens sometimes is that, for me, it was a great opportunity because no one has ever seen me without my helmet on.
Yeah.
And so now the world had the opportunity to hear my story, unless you knew football, then you knew my story. But if you didn't, then the opportunity for the world to know my story was to be able to be on this show, and then to go on to win it. It was amazing. So it kind of changed my life culture. I was able to do GMA after that. I did the Ellen Show. I did Oprah Winfrey, and so my life as a whole transitioned to something that's so much better now than just a game of football.
Nice. That is Donald Driver here with Adam Gorney for the Respect My Decision podcast. This is Adam Gorney with the Respect My Decision podcast. New podcast. You like that name?
Yeah, that's cool.
Woody came up with interviews, please, instead of no interviews, please.
Yeah.
You know, you get it? We're here with five-star offensive lineman TJ Shanahan. I say five-star offensive lineman because you can play inside or outside, right?
Center,
Does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
And that mentality has carried well with you for years. I mean, where does that come from? How do you have it? Because you're not a guy that's going to shy away from stuff, you know?
I would just say, just growing up, like, I don't know, just being parented by my parents. I've always, like, kind of been, like, a kid that doesn't shy away from stuff and just, like, kind of wants all the smoke. So that's kind of how I've always been. And I feel like I put that on full display here today. So,
as you've gone through your recruitment, how much do you kind of look at that as you're looking at offensive line coaches, head coaches, programs, how they're run, all that kind of stuff in terms of how your mentality is going to fit into that? You know what I mean?
I feel like he's going to fit in well. I mean, every coach that's, offered me has told me that they love, like, just my aggressiveness and my physicality. But I feel like I also am very technical with, like, my technique and my hand placement and all that stuff. So I feel like I have the full package.
Is it ever hard to have that hunger, or is it just kind of nice to go out and know that you're going to exert your will on people all the time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just like mixing it up with people. I like the competitiveness. Let's one-on-one and see who's better. That's just kind of what I like to do. So
let's talk recruiting a little bit. What do you have coming up in terms of visits and all that kind of stuff?
So I think next weekend I'm finna head up to Athens, visit the University of Georgia. And then the week after that, I'm going to go up to Texas Tech spring game. And then the week after that, the last weekend of April, I'm gonna head up to Baton Rouge and visit LSU.
Let's talk Georgia a little bit in terms of not only offensive linemen, but a whole program that kind of thrives on that intensity and getting after people and all that aggressive style. How much does that fit you? What has Georgia been saying? Kind of what do you think of them?
Georgia tells me all the time that, I'm like their number one offensive line guy. And I definitely feel that. I get a lot of love from Georgia, either if it's text from, one of the recruiting assistants or a bunch of mail, calls, all that stuff. So I definitely feel the love from Georgia, and I'm really excited to get up there. Texas
Tech, talk about the connections that you have there and that staff that is just going to be relentlessly recruiting everybody, really.
Yeah, I love Texas Tech. I mean, they're a great school. My brother does go there. He's been doing good there. I think he's going to end up starting in the fall. So it'll be fun to watch him. I'll definitely be at a couple games. But Coach Hamby, Coach McGuire, Coach Kitley, all of them. I like all of them. I feel like, if I go there, I'll be in good hands. And if anyone goes there, they'll be in good hands. And, that's like the type of coaching staff that kind of stays true to their word and they don't switch their demeanor, whenever you get there. So it's a great school.
LSU with the new staff, with Brad Davis and everything else. What is it that you want to see in Baton Rouge? Get a feel for Brian Kelly down there. What is it for you personally that you want to see and do?
Just kind of feel the atmosphere. I know it's definitely a new coaching staff, but Coach Davis is still there. He's the guy I've been talking to since
forever.
June. Yeah. Since he's been there. So, I'm really fond of LSU. I feel like the atmosphere there is just like one of a kind, especially like in their stadium, Death Valley. It gets loud and feisty there, and I love that. So, just try to get a feel for everything and just try to see what's going on.
And then after that, maybe a top 10, something like that, and then kind of figure it out?
Oh, for sure. I think I'm going to release the top 10 here pretty soon.
Yeah, perfect. That is five-star offensive lineman TJ Shanahan here with Adam Gorney for the Respect My Decision podcast.